Fix a hook from size 14 to 6 in the vise, making sure the point and the barb of the hook are masked by the jaws. Test by twanging the hook with your finger, firstly downwards, then upwards. If the hook distorts in any way, throw it away and fix another hook in the vise. The hook is the most important part of any fly, therefore the best hooks available should be used. I'm now going to show you how to tie a Black Peacock Spider. To start the fly, run black tying thread from the eye of the hook to a point just before the bend. Just trimming off that thread there to a point just before the bend. Now cut 4 or 5 strands of peacock herl and tie these in, trimming the ends flush. Tie the tips in at the bend and wind the thread back up to the eye, trapping the tips as you go. Now at a point of about 1/8 of an inch just before the eye, you'll need to tie in a strand of black floss. Now slightly moisten the floss between the lips, cutting a piece off about 8 to 9 inches long. Tie this in just before the eye, about 1/8 of an inch, trap down the tips. The reason for dampening the floss is to, when you're winding, floss tends to fray a lot in your fingers. Now wind this down and form a neat tapered body. Make it quite fat because it's representing a beetle. It should taper from the eye to the bend. When you've wound the floss, tie it in just before the eye again. Trim off the excess floss. Now I'm going to put some clear varnish onto the floss. The reason for varnishing the fly is to make the body more durable. Now wind the peacock herl to form a rope. Twist this and wind this up to the eye, twisting as you go to keep the herl together. This forms the body of the fly. Tie this in just before the eye and trim off the excess herl. Wind down over the butts. Now you need to tie the hackle in, which is a black hen hackle. The black hen hackle comes from the base of the cape, and you should select a feather with small fibres from the base. Offer the hackle up and strip away all the fluffy fibres. The basis of a good balanced wet fly is that the fibres don't go past the bend of the hook. Now tie this hackle in by the butt end, grip the stalk tightly with the thread. This is where wax thread comes into its own. Trim off that butt there, and now wind 2 or 3 turns with the hackle pliers. This will form the hackle or legs of the fly. Tie it in by the tip and trim that off because that isn't needed. Draw the hackle back with your thumb and forefinger of your left hand and wind a neat tapered head. Try and keep the head as small as possible, as you want this to look a well balanced fly. Now the whip finish is the knot we finish with. That's taken between the 2 fingers of your right hand, holding the thread along the shank and simply twisting round 4 or 5 times with the point of a dubbing needle. Place it in the loop, pulling the thread tight as you go. Pull the needle out, and that's how the whip finish is formed. It's better than any half hitch. Trim that thread off. It's the Black and Peacock Spider. Now you need to add a coat of black varnish. Put the needle on there like so. Varnishing the head. And you can add a coat of clear when that's dried for a nice gloss.